It's 10:47 on a Tuesday morning, and you're standing at the hardware store, buying a single door hinge. $3.79. The cashier is maybe 19. She doesn't look at you. She scans the hinge, drops it into a paper bag with a receipt folded around it, and slides it across the counter without meeting your eyes. Outside, the parking lot is nearly empty. A man is loading mulch into a pickup truck. A woman with a small dog is walking the long way around the lot to make the walk last. It's a Tuesday. It's almost 11. And nobody, anywhere in the world, is wondering where you are. Now hold that door hinge in your hand, because this is a story about the way a life quietly rearranges itself when you decide, very slowly, to stop running. Nobody warns you that the finish line of the rat race is not a ribbon. It's a Tuesday morning at a hardware store. It's a small bag with a receipt folded inside. And no one is standing there to see you cross it.
You are 24. You make $41,000 a year at a company whose name your mother still can't pronounce correctly. Your rent is $1,150. Your car payment is $284. You have $612 in checking and $0 in savings, and a student loan that arrives on the 3rd of every month like weather. One night, you sit at a kitchen table you found on a curb, and you open a spreadsheet on a laptop that overheats when it runs anything more complicated than a browser. You are not planning to change your life. You are trying to understand where the money goes. You subtract everything from everything, and what's left, on the good months, is about $340. You set up an automatic transfer, $200 a month into an index fund, a fund that owns a sliver of every large company on earth. You don't tell anyone. There is nothing to tell. $200 is not a story. You are 25. The balance is $2,600. You made about $75 in dividends and growth over the year. Your coworker Danny laughs when you mention it. Not cruelly. Danny is never cruel. Danny is your friend. He says, $75, dude. I spent that on lunch yesterday. He isn't wrong. He didn't do anything wrong. He just cannot see what you're doing because there is nothing yet to see. That fall, Danny leases a new truck. $58,000 spread over 6 years. He backs it into the parking lot on a Monday and shows you the interior stitching, the way the seat warmers have 3 settings. You tell him it's beautiful. It is beautiful. You are 27. The balance is $8,400. You get a small raise and quietly route the whole thing into the fund. Now $500 a month leaves your checking account before you can miss it. Your rent goes up. Your car dies in the middle of an intersection. You buy another one for $6,200 in cash from a man in a driveway who counts the bills twice and offers you a warm can of soda while he prints the bill of sale on an inkjet printer that is running out of black. You are 29. The balance is $22,000. This is the first time the number scares you. Not because it's small, but because it's real. You realize you could lose it. You realize markets fall. You read one article that terrifies you and one article that calms you down, and you do not touch the transfer. At a wedding that summer, a college friend asks what you've been up to. You say, same old, working. She nods and moves on to someone with better news. You watch her hug a girl who just got engaged. You go back to the bar and order a beer and think, this is what it feels like to be building something invisible. Money doesn't make noise while it grows. It just sits there, quietly forgetting to spend itself. You are 33. The balance is $58,000. You have quietly become the kind of person who reads pay stubs. Danny gets promoted to regional manager. He upgrades to a 2-bedroom on the good side of town. He posts a picture of the empty living room, hardwood floors, sunlight coming in low through the west window. The caption reads, earned it. You like the post. You are happy for him. You are. That week, you increase the transfer to $800 a month. You are 37. The balance is $127,000. Something has shifted, and you can feel it the way you can feel weather change without looking outside. The number is now compounding in ways that feel almost unfair. The growth from a good month in the market is larger than what you can add from a paycheck. The money has started doing something on its own. You watch it happen the way you'd watch a plant grow. Slowly enough that on any given day, it looks the same. Your father calls to ask if you can help with his roof. It's $4,800. You send it that afternoon. He calls back that night to make sure the transfer went through. You can hear him trying and failing to not ask how you did it. You don't tell him. You don't know how to tell him without making it sound like less than it was, or more. You are 41. The balance is $246,000. You're maxing the retirement account. You've stopped upgrading your phone every 2 years. You still live in a 1-bedroom, but a nicer one now, with a real bathtub and windows on 2 sides. You cook most nights. On a Friday, you decline a bachelor party in Nashville. A friend of a friend, $1,400 for a weekend. The flights alone would take a bite. You say you have a work thing. You do not have a work thing. That is the year you understand the real cost. You have started lying about small money. Not to seem poorer than you are, to seem the same as you were. You are becoming someone who can no longer be fully understood by the people who knew you first. This is the part they leave out of the documentaries. Money doesn't remove fear. It just changes its address and moves in next door to loneliness. Danny gets laid off that year. Restructuring, they call it. He is 41, and he has a truck payment and a mortgage and a daughter who just started preschool. He calls you at 10 at night and says, "I'm going to be okay, right?" You say, "You're going to be okay." You do not tell him the balance. You do not tell him you could cover a year of his life without noticing. You tell him he is going to be okay because that is what he needs to hear, and because telling him the rest would rearrange something between you that neither of you would know how to put back. You are 45. The balance is $431,000. Your mother dies. You fly home for a week. At the funeral, a cousin you haven't seen since childhood hugs you and says, "God, we've all just been working, huh?" You nod. You do not say, "I've been doing something else." There is no way to say it that doesn't sound like a boast. There is no way to explain that you have been quietly disqualifying yourself from her sentence for 20 years. That night, in your childhood bedroom, in a twin bed with a quilt your mother stitched by hand the year you were born, you don't cry about the money. You cry because you realize she died not knowing. She spent her whole life worrying about you, and you could never figure out how to tell her, without it sounding like a lecture, that you had already stopped being the kind of person she needed to worry about. The slowness was the price. The silence was the price. Nobody warned you the two were the same. You are 49. The balance is $712,000. You start looking, quietly, at what it would mean to leave. Not retirement exactly. Something quieter. You run the math one Sunday morning at your kitchen table. A different table now, but somehow the same table, propped up with a folded napkin under one leg. You realize you could stop. Not next year. This year, if you wanted to. You do not stop. You keep going for 3 more years. Not out of greed, out of not knowing what a person is, if they're not going to work. You are 53. The balance crosses $1 million on a Wednesday afternoon in October. You notice it during your lunch break. You are eating a turkey sandwich at your desk, no cheese, on wheat. The same sandwich you have been eating for 12 years. You close the browser tab. You finish the sandwich. You go back to work. You had expected something, a weightlessness, a grin you couldn't suppress, a phone call you'd want to make. Instead, there is only the taste of the sandwich and the hum of the fluorescent lights above you, and the quiet arithmetic knowledge that a threshold has slid past you, the way a mile marker slides past a car. The number never feels like the movie said it would. That is the part they never film. That night you go to a diner alone and order pie and read a paperback. The waitress refills your coffee twice without being asked. This is what the day of it looks like. This is what all the days look like. You are 55. The balance is just over $1.2 million. You give notice on a Tuesday. Your manager is genuinely surprised. She thought you'd be there forever. She isn't wrong. You thought so too. Your last day, there's a small cake in the break room and a card that everyone signs. Someone gives a short speech about how you were always so steady, which is the word people use for someone whose life they cannot quite explain. Danny is there. He came back to the company 2 years ago in a smaller role, less money, doing fine. He hugs you and says, "What's next, man?" You say, "Nothing," for a while. He laughs like it's a joke. It's 10:47 on a Tuesday morning and you're standing at the hardware store buying a single door hinge. $3.79. The cashier is maybe 19. She doesn't look at you. Outside, a woman with a small dog is walking the long way around the parking lot to make the walk last. It's a Tuesday. It's almost 11. And nobody, anywhere in the world, is wondering where you are. You get in your car and drive home the slow way. You pass the office building where you spent 31 years of your life. You do not slow down. You do not speed up. It's just a building now, the way a mountain is just a mountain once you're standing on the other side of it. At home, you fix the cabinet door with the new hinge. It takes 11 minutes. You make coffee. You sit at the kitchen table and you look out the window at a maple tree in the backyard. It's turning. It's early October. The light is that color that only happens for about 20 minutes a day in the fall, when the sun is low and the leaves are still on the branches. Nobody calls. Nobody posts about your retirement. There is no confetti and no announcement. Danny is at work. Your mother is dead. The friends who used to ask what you were up to stopped asking a long time ago. The people who might have been proud of you are, most of them, no longer in a position to be proud of anyone. You think, briefly, that you should feel something enormous, that a life ought to announce itself when it changes, that you should stand up and say out loud to the empty kitchen, "I did it," but you don't. You drink the coffee, you watch the tree. Nobody tells you that the finish line looks like this, that freedom does not arrive with music, that the exit from the race is a small door in the wall no one else can see, and once you walk through it, you are alone on the other side, with a coffee cup and a maple tree and a door hinge you just installed, and this is the whole prize. And it turns out to be enough, and it turns out to be almost unbearable, and it turns out those two things are the same thing. You escaped the rat race. Nobody noticed. That was always the deal.